Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Coach Chris from AccuTrader.net coming at you Sunday morning. It's around noon Central Daylight Time, and I just wanted to spend a few minutes going over some technical analysis for the week coming up. I think it's important that over the weekend you take a look at where we've been in the market, where we currently are, and where we might be headed based on the technical analysis of what we see on the charts and the news that's upcoming in the overall economy. And when I do this type of a technical analysis, I start with the highest time frame first and work my way down, and I'll show you that in a second. But where I want to start first is with the news. For the upcoming week, I use a site called forexfactory.com, and it's a very well respected and well used site in the financial industry, both stocks, bonds, options, futures, everything. And what it does is I've got the weekly calendar pulled up right here. It's free. There is a paid version, but you don't need it. And so the way that this works, I haven't put any filters on this, so I'm showing news from all over the world. The ones that will affect us the most are the USD. They're labeled USD in this column, and then they have a red folder. Those are the high impact news items. And so for Monday and Tuesday, the 9th and the 10th, the U.S. doesn't really have any high-impact news coming out. Our first high-impact news will be coming up on Wednesday morning at 8:30 Central, which is 7:30 Eastern. You'll see here we have core CPI, CPI month over month, and CPI year after year. And so that is surely to move the markets. That number is going to be critical based on the environment we're in right now. It's also good this is occurring on Wednesday because that will give the market Monday and Tuesday to digest what happened the last couple of days, the huge down move it's made, and then position itself for the CPI and then another big news coming up on Thursday. So even though there's no high impact news on Monday and Tuesday, I expect we will still see quite a bit of volatility on Monday. First of all, it's, we're back from the weekend, but then, like I said, the market's got to absorb these big moves we saw over the last couple of days. And are we going to continue down? Are we going to level off? Are we going to try and pull back? I'll get over that a little bit more, when I get into the technical analysis. So that's Wednesday morning at 7:30, right out of the gate. And then you can see in the afternoon, well, of course, we got crude inventories every Wednesday. Then there's a 10-year bond auction, which could start to come into play because bond rates are starting to fluctuate, and that can sometimes have a big impact and spill over to the equity market. Then on Thursday morning, there's a bunch of European news early, but then at 8:30, we have the PPI, the core PPI, PPI month over month, and then unemployment claims. That is going to be another huge event. So Wednesday and Thursday, I think we're really going to see some fireworks. I really do. Monday and if you're looking for a calm day, I'm thinking Tuesday may be calm, but we'll see tomorrow. We'll have a little better idea tomorrow what's going to happen. And then Friday, I'm not seeing any significant news announcements on the horizon. So Wednesday and Thursday mornings, the big one. But let's go back to the analysis. Now, I always start at the highest time frame, and in my case, I don't go to the monthly very often. To me, it's just I don't know. I just start here with the weekly, and that's going back far enough, and it really starts to give you an idea. So this, for instance, this was October of 23 on this chart. You can see, and since then, we've gone up. Let's just go to that bottom there. 6,000 points was the high on July 15th, Monday, July 15th of 24. So we went up 6,000 points. In terms of percentages, that is a 41% increase, which, I mean, that is unsustainable. I mean, there's just no way you can have that kind of growth in such a short period of time. Now, people may argue with me, they can, but the other thing that concerns me as a little is that most of that growth has occurred in just a select few stocks, primarily NVIDIA, and so I'm not saying it was manipulated in any way, but it's not healthy in any market, whether it's housing, whether it's cryptocurrency, whether it's equities, to have a huge move over a short period of time. Well, people could say, well, Chris, we had a couple of pullbacks. We had one here in January, and then we had another one in April, and then we just had one back at the middle of July after reaching, record highs. Yeah, we did, but what would have been healthier is to have these gradual ones along the way go up and also not to increase so sharply that fast, okay? It's just not healthy. What a healthy market needs is a nice steady pace, a little bit of a pullback, get some energy, absorb the move, get some liquidity, move up. A nice systematic move where we just haven't had that. We've had dramatic up moves. Look at all these green candles. Then we get one red candle and then another huge series of green candles. That's from October to March. It's just crazy. Only having 1, 2, 3 down weeks. I mean, it's just, like I said, it's just not sustainable. And then we consolidated here. And even though we had a huge pullback here, but even these are red candles, but they're not huge pullbacks. And then we had another one from April all the way up to July when we hit those highs. We only had one, and then 2 red, and one is a pretty small candle. Now, back in towards the start of July, we did have this dramatic downturn. That was let's just go up to the top of this wick to right here. We had about a 2,500 point pullback, which was about 12.5%. But then look what happened. In the matter of 3 weeks, it chewed over half of that back up, in 3 candles. So yeah, we had a pullback, but we were right back up there. Now, in the last 2 weeks, and this week especially, we've dropped 7%. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. We're kind of at an inflection point here. This wick touched the bottom of the bar of the last pullback. Okay, but what you maybe can't see is on this particular candle right here, there's a huge wick that went down. Move it over a little bit. You can't really see it too well on this chart. But to right here, and look what that coincides with. These 2 huge candles that happened back in April, this down candle. And so right now, I'm looking at that area as a potential support zone. If we were to pull back, that is about another 1,000 points. So realistically, this is why Monday and Tuesday are going to be so critical. Is this level going to hold right here, which was the level that we held back in August, the first week of August? Is that level going to hold where I've drawn this red horizontal line? Or are we going to continue to come down? And this would be the most logical first point, which is 17,345. Would that be the next logical point of support? Or are we going to come down right here to 18,360 and then get our bounce up? Okay. Now, if we do get a bounce, a lot is going to depend this week on the news. Can this thing get back up to where it was and possibly threaten new highs? Or is this market running out of steam? And I guess this is where, we don't really know. And see here too, I drew that line and I forgot all about this. If I extend this over to the left, you can see here that why I'm saying this would be a logical support zone to come back. You can see how we traded in that area. It was resistance at one time, going way back to July of 23. So just in my mind, I'm saying keep an eye out for that area starting at 17,350-ish, right in there as a possible target. And then I would think that would hold unless we had some really terrible news, either on the Magnificent Seven or who knows what, or if FOMC came up and threw them for a loop. So that's going to be an area to really watch out for. Okay, so that's why I start at the weekly. Let's get a big picture view of what is going on and some of the levels we may be looking out for. The next step then is to go down to the 4 hour or the daily. I'm sorry, I forgot we were right here. 1 day. I forgot where we were. So when we go down to the daily now, you can start to see a little better what we're looking at. Every step down, it will provide us with more detail, okay? And so here is that high point. I'm just going to snap a level right there. I'm going to go right to the top of these two. There is a wick above it, but I'm just going to snap it right here. So right there is that high that we achieved back the first week of July, okay? Then we had that first pullback, and here is that candle again with that big wick down right to that level, which is one reason price always wants to revisit where it's been. And when they do things like that, even though it was a big sweep of liquidity, to end exactly at that point, it sends me a signal. I've been trading long enough that isn't just by chance right now. Now, whether they'll visit it now or in the future, that I can't say for sure, but that's very, very telling. So we pull down, we find support, pull back up, and now this area here was support back here, and now I'm just going to put a square around so you know where I'm talking about. That area was support back in here, and now look what happened. That became resistance. High, lower high, lower low. Now, it's going to be imperative to see on the daily what they do. If this comes and puts in a lower low, which would be below the 17,900, okay, that would be the first indication that we may be coming into a downturn on the higher time frame. And then what we'll look for is if it can create a higher high or if it creates a higher or a lower high. So that is how you predict. Because if you draw a line, if you go here, then draw another one here to here, you can usually see it a little better. Okay. High, lower low, lower high, and then we'll see here. If this leg closes above this level, then we have not established a lower low yet. Okay. But that is a sign that if we have lower highs and lower lows, then the market kind of has shifted directions and maybe in the start of a downward of a further downward leg than what we currently have. Okay, so let me get rid of those. So that's the daily, and my thesis remains pretty much the same as what I had said there. This is going to be a critical area right through here to see what happens down here if we continue down. If we continue down to here or here, are we going to get a bounce up, or are we going to maybe explore going a little lower? Okay. Now, we could bounce here, but it's going to be very important to watch and very telling. Okay, now let's go down to the 4 hour. Here's the 4 hour time frame. And you'll notice here a lot of red candles. So what we had is this was the support that has now become resistance. It came down, it's tried to break through that, had to pull back to get some liquidity, attempted to push through, couldn't, didn't get quite as low, attempted, and was rejected hard off there. Now look what's happening here. We're starting to base, instead of basing up here with the consolidation, we're starting to see a lower level of consolidation right through here. And then instead of attempting to go back up and try to break through that once again, notice what we're doing. We're actually pulling lower. Okay, so let's go down to the 1 hour and see if that gives us any more detail. Remember also, what I'm telling you is just based on my experience. I obviously have no way of knowing. The market is going to do what the market is going to do, and there's so many factors that affect that. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing based on the technical analysis here. You will want to go and do your own interpretation of all this yourself, not only to verify if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but also to learn this, because, you know, it's one thing to go and get advice from others. It's kind of nice, right? But in reality, if you're looking to really, you know, get to the point where you're trading your own funds and not trading prop funds, you know, I have my own personal money that I trade. I do trade prop firms as well, but I have my own personal account at risk. So, you know, once you get to that point, you want to make darn sure when you're risking thousands of dollars that you know that you know what the hell you're doing, right? So that's what I'm trying to teach you here. And there's a lot of people out there that really, you know, they say a lot of things, but, you know, how much do they really know, and how much are they just worrying about themselves, you know? So that, just take that with a grain of salt. But I really truly am trying to help each and every one of you become better traders and become financially independent on your own. So you can see how nicely this stock is respecting these levels. You see, you know, how you know, you don't want to see a chart where things are all over and you can't really understand what is going on. And so what this is they're cleaning up orders, they're cleaning up liquidity, and what they were doing is they were either trying to gain energy to make another run up and test these higher levels like they had been doing back here for, you know, for quite a while, or are they starting to perhaps make a turn? Now, based on what I'm seeing here again, it's kind of verifying that perhaps we've got a little lower to go. How much, I don't know. But if I had to guess, I would say somewhere, the ultimate low is, I would say in the near term, is 17,300. So about 1,000 points below where we're at. But more than likely, I'm probably seeing somewhere in this range that it's probably going to get short-term support, which happens to be right around that psychological level of 18,000, makes sense, to 18,000, you know, somewhere in this range. The high 17s to low 18,000 is where it kind of looks like we're headed. So let's go down now to the half hour, to the 30-minute. I'm going to get this box off here for now. expand this out a little bit. Pretty much the same thing here. We're seeing 15-minute. Pretty much the same thing. You know, now that we've established this, this would be your order block on the longer time frame way up here. By order block, what I mean is there's going to be all kinds of orders resting up in this particular area, which is the high 18,900 up to 19,000. So what that means is when you say order block, that means there are so many orders up here, it's going to be very, very difficult to push through that area. Okay? There's people that are upside down in that have bought up at the top that are there, and they're going to sell, but any number of things. So that means you're going to need a really, really powerful move to bust through that. And it's not going to be just go up once and boom right through unless some very dramatic news were to happen. But I don't envision that happening. What I would envision is once it got up to this area, at least the first time it touches, I would expect to see a nice bounce off of that. Now, we're going to find out, like I said, by Thursday, whether they're thinking of going back up or if they're going to continue to break that down. So you can see here more consolidation, and it really looks like we're headed for a downside. Now, let me just see here if I can. What we look at, there's nothing really in this area to the left. It's been a while since we've been down in this range. So is there lower to go? Definitely. We could go down another, what is this, 300 to potentially 1,000 points very, very easily. But we will find out. We will find out what the big money wants to do with this. There is really going to be some interesting movement tomorrow and some positioning. Consolidation. That's the 5-minute. I don't want to go any lower than that. So going to be a really, really interesting week. I do also want to caution, you can just see how big of a wall it is. All of this consolidation through here. I mean, really, really going to be interesting to see what happens here. We're going to get our answers tomorrow. One of the things I would caution against is be very careful because of where we're at and the lack of really good support and demand zones down here. We could see larger than normal moves. You look at what happened on Friday and earlier in the week, and this could be in either direction. We also have come down quite a ways. We did have this consolidation, but very quickly. And so there's a lot of gaps, fair value gaps, regular gaps, order blocks, all through this area. And so what we may see is they may want to come up, all the way up to this order block. Probably not, but maybe in this area, and then go up, consolidate. So we could see a lot of shenanigans going on, but also bigger than normal movements for weekdays, let's just say. So always have your radar on this week because it's very, very hard to predict, and we're going to find out really quickly what they're up to. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. And I will be, I don't know if I'm going to get another video out tonight. I'm working on 2 really big projects, but it takes a lot of testing, and I don't believe, in just going out and running these simulated back tests. I want to test everything, either an actual market mode or market replay mode, because I want to make sure that the systems are acting the way that they would once we get into real life environments. And that takes a lot of time. It really does. And sometimes I have to tweak the algorithms and the settings a little bit to come through and take care of certain situations that arise. So but it's going to be worth the wait. What I've got coming could really, really help a lot of traders out there. So thanks as always. If you wouldn't mind subscribing or hitting the like button below, I would surely appreciate it, and watch for those upcoming videos. So thanks, everyone, and have a great week trading. Coach Chris from AccuTrader.net signing off.